1992. Dolly Parton was 46 years old. She was at the peak of her career. A country queen, a Hollywood star, a woman who had already lived 6 lifetimes by the time most people lived one. She had won everything there was to win. She had buried friends. She had survived heartbreak. That spring, the phone rang in her kitchen in Nashville. It was Billy Ray Cyrus, a young Kentucky boy with a song called Achy Breaky Heart that was about to become the biggest country single in America. Billy Ray and Dolly had become friends on the road. They had toured together. They had laughed together. They had talked about family, about home, about what it meant to be a country kid in a world that didn't always understand them. "Dolly," Billy Ray said, his voice trembling with excitement. "We're having a baby, a girl." Dolly smiled into the phone. "You've got to be her godmother," he said. Dolly closed her eyes. She thought about it for a long moment, not because she didn't want to say yes, but because she knew, the way only a woman who has loved many people knows, that being a godmother was not a casual thing. A godmother was not a title. A godmother was a promise to be there, a promise to stay, a promise to love a child you did not give birth to as if she were your own, for her whole life, no matter what. Dolly Parton had no children of her own. She had wanted them once. It had not happened. And she had made peace with that. In the quiet way she made peace with everything in her life. But here, on this phone call, was a chance to love a child anyway. She opened her eyes. "Billy Ray," she said, "I would be honored." A few months later, on November 23, 1992, a baby girl was born in Franklin, Tennessee. Her parents named her Destiny Hope. The world would later know her as Miley. And Dolly Parton, the woman from Sevierville with a heart bigger than the Smoky Mountains, made a promise that day that she would keep for the rest of her life. Miley Cyrus grew up in a house full of music. Her father played guitar. Her mother sang. Her aunts and uncles came over, and the whole family would sit on the porch and harmonize in the cool Tennessee evenings. And every now and then, a woman with bright blonde hair and even brighter eyes would come up the long driveway in a car too fancy for the back roads of Franklin. She would walk into the house carrying gifts. She would sit on the floor with the children. She would sing to Miley as a baby. She would put her on her lap and tell her stories about the Smoky Mountains, about her own poor childhood, about the time when she was a little girl and had nothing but a song. Miley called her Aunt Dolly. Dolly hated being called Godmother. She thought it sounded too formal, too distant, too much like a fairy tale. She preferred something else. "I'm your fairy godmother," she would say, tapping Miley on the nose. "And I'm always going to be watching out for you." And the little girl with the big eyes would smile and believe her. In 2006, Miley Cyrus was 13 years old when Disney Channel launched a television series called Hannah Montana. The premise was simple: a girl with a secret double life, a regular kid by day, a pop star by night. Within months, Miley Cyrus was the most famous teenager in America. Her face was on lunchboxes, her songs were on every radio station, her concert tours sold out in minutes. She played a fictional version of herself, and the world fell in love with her. And in one episode of that show in season 2, the girl's godmother appeared. She was played by Dolly Parton, of course. Dolly came to the set with her hair done and her smile bright and a heart full of pride. She watched Miley work the cameras. She watched her hit her marks. She watched her teenage goddaughter, the little girl who had once sat on her lap, now standing in front of millions, holding the world in her small hands. Between takes, Dolly would whisper to her, quiet words, mountain wisdom, the kind of advice you can only give to someone you love. "Be careful, sweetheart. Don't lose yourself in this. You can be famous and you can be Miley, but never let one swallow the other." And Miley would nod, the way teenagers nod when they don't fully understand what an older woman is trying to tell them. the way teenagers nod at warnings they will not need to remember until many years later. Dolly Parton, watching her goddaughter from the side of a Disney soundstage, felt the first quiet ache in her chest. She had seen this story before. She had watched too many young stars rise. She had watched too many of them fall. She had buried friends in this business. Friends who had started bright and ended too soon. She knew, in a way that Miley could not yet know, what fame did to people. But Dolly Parton had made a promise to a newborn. And so she stood and watched, and she prayed in her quiet country way that this little girl would survive what was coming. It came in 2013. Miley Cyrus was 20 years old. She had outgrown Hannah Montana. She wanted to be taken seriously as an artist. She wanted to be free. And so she released a music video for a song called Wrecking Ball. In the video, she swung naked on a wrecking ball. That same year at the MTV Video Music Awards, she danced on stage with a stranger in a way that scandalized half of America. The headlines were brutal. The talk shows were merciless. Religious leaders called her a disgrace. Parents who had bought their daughters Hannah Montana lunchboxes only a few years before now changed the channel when she came on. Country music stations stopped playing her songs. Her own former fans, the children who had grown up with her, said they did not recognize the woman she had become. The little girl from Franklin, Tennessee, was suddenly the most criticized woman in America. In Nashville, in a quiet living room in a quiet house, a 67-year-old country queen named Dolly Parton sat watching the news. The phone began to ring. Reporters wanted comments. Talk show hosts wanted opinions. Magazines wanted condemnations. Everyone wanted Dolly Parton, beloved national grandmother, beloved keeper of country music's old values, to denounce her wayward goddaughter, to say she was disappointed, to say she had not raised her this way, to say something, anything. Just a few words. The world was waiting. Dolly Parton answered the phone, and what she said again and again in interview after interview became something she would repeat for the rest of her life. "I will never, ever badmouth Miley." She said it on the radio. She said it on television. She said it to the country music establishment. She said it to her own friends when they tried to convince her to distance herself from the scandal. "No matter what she does," Dolly said, "I just always hope she comes out the other end all right." The world wanted a betrayal. Dolly Parton refused to give them one. Many years later, Miley Cyrus would tell a magazine reporter something she had kept quiet for a long time. She would say that during those terrible years, when she was being attacked from every direction, when the world was tearing her apart, when she did not know if she would survive the fame she had once wanted so badly, there had been a faxed letter. A faxed letter. In an age of text messages and emails and Instagram, Dolly Parton still used a fax machine, the same way she had been using one since the 1970s. The same way her mother had taught her to do things properly, slowly, the old way, with care. Miley laughed about it once in an interview. She said no one in the world still used a fax machine except Dolly. She said she had to go to her lawyer's office to receive Dolly's faxes because she did not own a fax machine herself, and her lawyer was the only person she knew who still did. But every fax that came was something Miley kept. One came on Mother's Day. It was from Dolly, and it said in Dolly's looping handwriting, words that Miley would carry with her for the rest of her life. "How much do I love you? As much as my heart can hold and as far as my arms can reach." That was all. No advice, no criticism, no condemnation, no sermon, just love. The kind of love a fairy godmother gives to a goddaughter who has lost her way and is trying desperately to find herself again in the wreckage of her own fame. Miley Cyrus saved that fax. She has it still. She told a reporter with tears in her eyes that Dolly had been more like a mother to her than almost anyone in her life. And Dolly Parton, sitting in her kitchen in Nashville more than 20 years after a phone call from Billy Ray Cyrus, more than 20 years after a promise made to a newborn baby, kept doing what she had said she would do on that very first day. She kept loving the child, no matter what. Years passed. Miley grew up. She survived the worst of it. She married, she divorced, she lost her grandmother. She found a quieter peace. She returned to the music she had loved as a child, to the country roots her father had given her, to the woman who had been there since she was born. In 2023, Dolly Parton announced she was making a rock and roll album. She was 77 years old. She had sold 100 million records. She had won every major music award. She did not need another album. But she wanted to do something. She wanted to make a statement. She wanted to bring her favorite voices together, Paul McCartney, Stevie Nicks, Elton John, all the legends, onto one record. And she wanted one song in particular. She picked up the phone and called her goddaughter. "Miley, sweetheart," she said, "I want to record Wrecking Ball with you." There was a long pause on the other end. For a moment, Miley Cyrus could not speak. The song that had defined her hardest year. The song that had been used to mock her. The song that had become, in the cultural memory of America, the symbol of everything the world had said was wrong with her. And here was her godmother, the country queen, the keeper of the old ways, the woman who had once whispered warnings to her on a Disney soundstage, asking to sing it with her. Not to fix it, not to change it, not to apologize for it, to honor it, to stand beside her in it. To say with her own 77-year-old voice that the song Miley had been ridiculed for was, in truth, a beautiful piece of music written by a young woman in pain. And there was no shame in it. Miley said yes. They recorded it together. And on the night of New Year's Eve, in a televised special on NBC, Dolly Parton stood on a stage with her goddaughter, and they sang Wrecking Ball as a duet. But Dolly changed one line. In the original song, Miley had sung, "I can't live a lie running for my life, I will always want you." Dolly sang it differently. She sang, "I can't live a lie running for my life, I will always love you. I will always love you." The same words she had written in tears 50 years before in a Tennessee kitchen, in a song she had refused to give to Elvis Presley. The same words Whitney Houston had sung to make one of the greatest ballads in American music history. And now Dolly Parton was singing them to her goddaughter, on stage, on live television, in front of the entire country. A promise, a blessing, a message wrapped inside a pop song. I will always love you. It was, in its quiet country way, the closing of a 30-year circle. The little girl Dolly had held as a newborn was now 30 years old. The Disney star who had become a wrecking ball was now an artist who had survived everything the world had thrown at her. And the godmother who had refused all those years ago to abandon her was now standing beside her on a stage, singing her back into the country music family she had been born into. There is a moment in the official video of that performance where Miley Cyrus turns and looks at Dolly Parton. She is 30 years old. She is one of the most famous women in the world. She has survived the kind of fame that has destroyed many before her. And in that moment, she does not look like a pop star. She looks like a little girl looking at her fairy godmother. The same way she had looked at her on the porch in Franklin. The same way she had looked at her on the soundstage at Disney. The same way she had looked at her every Mother's Day, when a fax arrived from Tennessee with looping handwriting and a single sentence about love. And Dolly Parton, holding her microphone, smiles back. She had made a promise to a newborn baby in 1992. She had kept it. That, in the end, is what a godmother does. It is not magic. It is not fairy dust. It is not the wave of a wand at a christening. It is showing up. For 30 years, through scandal and grief and fame and divorce and headlines and silence, it is loving a child no matter what she does. It is sending a fax on Mother's Day with 8 words written in your own hand. It is standing on a stage when you are 77 years old and singing the song that broke her and changing one word, want to love, so that the whole world will know that she is loved, and she has always been loved, and she will always be loved. Dolly Parton kept her promise. Some promises she once said are made to be broken, but the ones a godmother makes, those are the ones you keep. Dolly Parton's legacy is not made of rhinestones or records or sold-out arenas. It is made of small things, a faxed letter, a whispered promise, a song refused to the king, and a song sung beside her goddaughter half a century later. These quiet moments are the real legacy, and they deserve to be remembered. If you would like to walk with us through more of these stories, the ones the world almost forgot, stay with us. Behind the smile, there is always more.